What up, bitches? Alright, I'm gonna be honest, this is like take 5, and I really just don't give a shit anymore. Burned a lot of booze going through this, trying to make it real nice and professional and articulate, but fuck it, I'm black. I don't have to be eloquent. So let's just get right into it. Boys, welcome to week 2 of The Corner. First change is we're not going to be calling it The Corner anymore. As I'm sure you guys all know, I'm running the show now, and so I'd like to welcome you all to what will be known from here henceforth as Will's Unhappy Hour. Yes, this is a play on words. All the boys who know me back from the collegiate days, Bonnie, Pop, Joe, they all know that post-college, somehow, my life just became awful. So you all sharing my pain, and we're gonna pop some bottles or whatever, cheap shit, and we're gonna enjoy Will's Unhappy Hour this week and weeks henceforth. Before we actually get into the football and what happened last week and whatnot, first off, I'd like to just thank Joe for taking on the role of commissioner and for bringing me in the league last week, and especially being commissioner in what seems to me to be the most tumultuous bullshit league year that you guys have had, or that we have had, I guess we could say now. We all remember the debacle of the draft, whatever the fuck was going on there. I really don't want to get too far into that. I think all that needed to be said was said. So we'll just move on to there. And big up to Joe for taking over and being the commissioner for the year. I would also like to take a moment to pay a little bit of homage to my predecessor, the Schlong. What can I say, man? I mean, first of all, I didn't know you were doing the corner in that fashion for so long, but I gotta be honest with you, man. I anticipated the corner more than fucking syndicated episodes of Big Bang, The Walking Dead, everything. I mean, the corner brought a little bit of brightness to my life for those weeks. So I just want to say thank you, and thanks for, trusting me with the frames and whatnot. So I'm going to tip this right here to the Schlong. Now, mind you, this is take 5, so I'm getting pretty tight at this point. So, what do you say we go ahead and get into things? First and foremost, this segment of Will's Unhappy Hour is brought to you by Keystone Light, always smooth. Again, giving credence to the fact that it's an unhappy hour in my circumstances, because here it is, 12 years out of college and 30 years old, still drinking Keystone Light. But whatever, I'm digressing. First of all, let's start with the format and how things are going to go and how that might differ from things in previous. To make things kind of fun, and especially since I'm never going to be able to step into the huge shoes of Schlong with his analysis and his fantasy football experience and whatever else, that's just not going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get drunk and talk shit. If you don't like it, then press that little X button in the corner of your screen right now. But that's the way things are going to go down. But I do have a little bit of football experience since I played for years, been watching for years. But as far as this fantasy thing, let's just see what happens. Again, this is my second year. The only fantasy I was involved with before fantasy football involved lubricant. So none of y'all want to know anything about that. So, as far as format, it's going to be, there are things that are going to be similar and there are things that are going to be different. We're definitely going to have a game of the week every week, and I thought it'd be fun to make this a little interactive. So what I did is I took these little pieces of paper that I cut up here, kind of like shit that I've been doing for my daughter's kindergarten assignment, and on each one, there's a number 0 through 4, okay? And what this is going to represent, and I'm going to draw these actually out of a hat, is the number that I select will be the number of shots that I have to take next segment. And you're all thinking, well, he's a fucking alcoholic, so what does it fucking matter? But the interactive part of this is on this feed, for the game of the week, you can all make your guess or hypothesis as to what the score is going to be. And the closest one, without going over, is going to be able to select which shots, and it's pretty much open, I'm going to be taking out of that number. So I drew 1 this time, so that's 1 in excess. So whoever ends up with the closest to the game of the week score at the end without going over is going to be telling me what shot I need to take. And again, It's open field, boys. Be nice to me. Don't ask for some silly shit like, fucking ethanol E85 because it's not happening. Of course, depends on how far away from payday I am. So that's the game of the week. What I'm also going to do every week, and that's the reason why I have 24 ounces of Keystone Light in front of me here, is that for every week, I'm going to drink a beer for that week. So we're in week 2, so I'm going to slam 2 beers here over the course of this little thing we got going on. Also, Bonnie, I want to let you know, there is a definite change that applies to you. There will be no more talking about you as a Mexican. All right, that's just out. I know Schlongy like to go on tangents about it, and then we go back. It's not happening. But there's a caveat to that. I do live in Colorado, and so I'm surrounded. So there will be no more talking about you as a Mexican. But depending on how many takes and how far I get into this here shit right here, you people might be taking it. But Bonnie, I can take it as well as I can get it and shit like that. You shouldn't take offense. And anybody else, I invite you. I'm officially Black Will, so if you get a little free time, come up with some black jokes. I like to see what you have. So that's the game of the week. I'm going to be doing a beer every week, and that's all the way through the regular season. So week 12 and 13 are going to be real interesting. And then that's pretty much all the change, depending on how much alcohol I can get in my system, so on and so forth. So let's get into week 1. Week 1 was interesting, and I'm not just saying that because I took a loss to Biggins. Biggins, again, welcome back to the league. Yeah, he definitely took me. I made the same mistake that I was making last year, leaving points on the bench, second-guessing myself, but Biggins came up with a win, and good for him. But let's talk about what I thought was the game of the week last week. We got Josh, who we put at the top of the power rankings, going up against Pop, who is Mr. Peyton Manning, a.k.a. Adrian Peterson. Yeah, we all know Pop's team. Well, Pop's team took an L to Big Josh. And again, I have to give a little credit to the starters and the bench depth. I mean, Josh has got the team to beat. So go Team Ramrod. Let's see what happens there. Then we're going to move down. I want to talk about the game. Bonnie, our champion, our 2-time back-to-back champion, takes a loss in game 1 against Gren. It was a bit of a nail-biter. Not really, but Gren ended up coming out with the win there. Rodgers didn't play well. Of course, nobody plays well against Seattle. And I got to be honest, man, I'm really questioning what's going on with Bonnie's team this year. But then again, I got no grounds to speak because I am talking about the back-to-back champ. But whatever method there is to this madness, I really want to know. So here's to you, Bonnie. Sorry you took an L. The top 3 from last year went down, so hell of a week 1. Let's move on. We got Schlongy going against Joe. It was a great game. Schlong came up with the win. He called it himself. Joe's got a fairly different team this year. He's without Gronk, but he's still riding that Roddy White, Dougie Fresh train. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future with that. And then we got Team AHT taking down Elon, who is Jonas's brother. Welcome to the league this year, by the way. The reason why I'm going to call this team in regard to this team and this individual as AHT is because, there was all this controversy with the fact that I had misspelled the name, in the power rankings and whatever else. And the last thing I want to do is mispronounce the actual name. I mean, I've actually been overseas. I've actually dealt with people from diverse backgrounds and things like that. But again, I'm not familiar with this particular dialect. So the last thing I want to do is mispronounce something exotic like or some shit like that. And then wind up on the next fucking ISIS video over a goddamn fantasy football beat. So this is Team AHT. And congratulations to Team AHT for coming up with the win over Elon. Then lastly, we got Glenn, our lovely Glenn, taking down Jonas. I really think Jonas might end up going winless this year just because, he's the king of the waiver scum. We love you dearly, Jonas, and we love the fact that you contribute to this every year, but it's just got to be about recreation for you because I don't get it. I don't get it. But you know what? Honestly, he's the king of the waiver scum. Let's see how he does this year. So that's week 1 in the bag. I want to get into the predictions for week 2. The first game we got Josh going up against our scumbaggy. And the funniest thing about this game, and this is weird for all of them, but it's just ESPN, is Glenn is actually projected ahead of this game. But let's be honest about it. Josh is the number one. He's the top dog right now, and I got to put him over Glenn in this game. Desi Poo, let's see how he winds up doing, and I'm not going to get into, actually, fuck it. Yeah, I am going to get into it. All right, let's say Scam Newton is completely healthy and ends up coming back. He's going to have a great game. Wacko Flacco ends up playing my boys tonight, and that's always a shootout. I did not watch the game, by the way, because I was trying to take care of this corner shit, so no spoilers. Let me find out what the hell happened with that. And then, of course, he's got Beast Mode. Zach Stacy, let's see how he performs this year. There's a lot of doubts about him. Decker hasn't really shown much quite yet, but he's still got Steve Smith up against, again, the Pittsburgh defense, and I got to be honest about it. We're not exactly steel curtain anymore, especially since fucking Cleveland ran up like 30-some-odd points. The Chiefs D against Denver, though, that's going to hurt them a little bit. I do like the fact that Scumbags got Andrew Luck over against Philly. I think that should be a nice little shootout. Your problem here is, though, one of your better receivers, Victor Cruz. First of all, he's got Eli Manning throwing to him. That's game over right there. And then Dez Bryant. I don't really think he's really going to be able to do much against that Tennessee defense, which really kind of shocked people last week. So the next game we got Pop against, who's that, Jonas? Yeah, Pop taking on Jonas. Again, I got to get this one to Pop. Not a lot to talk about. I mean, Peyton Manning is definitely going to have a hell of a game against KC. Phillip Rivers, he's going to struggle a little bit against Seattle because fucking everybody does. But he's got Julio Jones in a great matchup against Cincy. Justin Hunter. The Bengals defense, of course, is going to struggle against Atlanta, who was very, very shocking last week. I love Drew Brees. I mean, Jonas, you got him, but the problem is he's going up against that Cleveland defense. And I didn't see the same Drew Brees that we've seen in recent, especially since apparently he and Jimmy Graham had a lover's tiff over the off season. And, Drew Brees has decided to have a midlife crisis and move on to younger, tighter asses and just leave Jimmy with nothing. So that's going to hurt me this year, but hopefully they can reconcile. Moving on. Next game we've got is what I'm calling the game of the week this week, and it's Bonnie versus Joe. We'll call this an old school IC battle, or Norwich, whatever the hell you want to call it. But Joe's going up against Bonnie. Bonnie's still the reigning champ. But here's my prediction. I actually got Joe over Bonnie on this one because of the matchups that are going on for that particular day. And yeah, here we go. So Brady's going to have a great game against Minnesota, even though he's coming off a very disappointing performance against Miami last week. Carson Palmer is, fuck it, anybody playing against the New York Giants, I'm sorry, Sloan, is going to have a great day. All right? My daughter's got the Giants in Week 11, and she's projected to do 400 yards. So it's just, I'm sorry, the Giants are shit. So take anybody who's playing against the Giants. Roddy White, Larry Fitzgerald, both going to have great days. Eli, again, I just don't see it, Pop. I don't see him helping you out. Or Bonnie, sorry. I don't see him helping you out. Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to get his against New Jersey. Cordell Patterson, I don't know why you picked him up, but we'll see how he winds up with. But you do have that Panthers D that's going to stuff Detroit, so that's going to be a good one. Then moving on, I've got Gren and Schlong. I got Gren taking Schlong on this one. Just basically, again, predicated upon matchups. I'm starting to run out of time, so I don't want to get too deep into that. Team AHT is taking on Biggins. This is a conference game, if I remember correctly. And I actually got AHT over Biggins. Lastly, we got Elon, Jonas' little brother, going up against me. I don't like the matchups that I have for that week, and I think Elon actually picked a great team. I understand it was on a plane, so good for that. I honestly got to say I'm going to go 0-2 on this one. And you know what, Elon, it's all good, baby. I'm used to losing in life, so you know what? I'll open up 0-2. That's all good. I'll still wind up in the playoffs despite what the fuck you had to say, Schlong. So that's going to be my wrap-up for now. I know it was short. I know it was kind of disheveled, but I'm definitely going to get my shit together, boys, in weeks to come. I hope you've enjoyed Will's on Happy Hour. I'm going to finish a good drink, have a good cry, and I'll see you boys next week.